Sloan, as an agency person, do you at all feel threatened by by the crowdsourcing, especially on the creative side? And even though you've used it before, do you view it as a tool? Do you view it as both? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think in the case of Victors and Spoils, what's been so interesting is to see these niche, small boutique agencies pop up, take a hold of a market that, you know, is very current of the moment, build up enough of a book of business to get sold and to, you know, basically get sold back in to probably where a lot of the founders flew from, because they couldn't
Yeah.
they couldn't handle being in that big box anymore. So I think, you know, what the rise of the niche agency, of having something that you're really passionate about and being able to be small and nimble enough to get it done, is really quite remarkable. And we see it with infographic. You know, there's some really great boutique startup agencies that are creating infographics. We do see it in crowdsourcing. And I don't think that, you know, it's not that it's a threat, it's exciting. It's exciting because when you're part of, you know, a large agency, a large brand, it's hard to get decisions through. It's like any bureaucracy, it's like anything. So being able to be small and come up with ideas and a platform, I think is a, you know, really exciting opportunity. And, you know, in the case of the Victors and Spoils is in Boulder, another Boulder-based boutique agency, Napkin Labs, has a number of crowdsourcing, you know, that they're doing with Domino's. They just ran a really interesting campaign around new uniforms for delivery people. I mean, I think that there's a lot of other places where it's not threatening, it's an opportunity to pull back the onion layer, to expose the consumer to something that before they were never a part of. And to me, that's why I love social media as a communication tool. And I don't come from an agency background, I should probably disclose. I come from first a nonprofit fundraising background. That's how I got into social media, from being a fundraiser and wanting to look at new ways to get people excited. And then I went into a startup that was focused on social media for social good, like a Causes for Facebook, prior to that platform being around, and sort of landed an agency based upon this, you know, wide base and knowledge, and being a blogger and having run a successful email newsletter and kind of having a lot of different professional experiences that, you know, I could bring to the table. And so a lot of agencies do have fear. I personally don't, and I don't bring that into my team. And a lot of brands, I don't think that they're scared of it. Frankly, they look to the agencies. We have more, I think the agencies have more power than ever. I thought long and hard about going into an agency versus a brand, because I had a choice. I could have done anything. I mean, we can all do anything we want with our careers and our lives. And so when I was looking at what I want to do next, I said, do I want to go to a brand? What does that look like? If I'm in a digital marketing, ad creation, you know, integrated communication, blah, 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 all the different phrases that are being used, what does that look like versus going into an agency, and what does that look like? And I think that agencies more and more are partnering together. There's the phrase IAT, integrated, you know, agency team, and that means that I'm in meetings all day with the media buyers, the ad agency, the PR, the communication, the boutiques. Everybody's coming together to create these unified plans. And for something like a Genius Rocket, they can help us build the infrastructure, and they can help us put together a lot of the tools if we don't have the developers or we don't have the designers. There's sort of more seats at the table at the same time the table is getting smaller, and we have to sit a little bit closer to each other. So I think that some of the largest agencies with really big egos are certainly scared, and they're frightened because they feel like something's going to be taken away from them. But those of us that have an entrepreneurial spirit, a little bit more of an innovative nature, that think that it's thrilling that consumers are now exposed to all of the aspects of ad creation, of uniforms, of new products, of new services, like all of those things that the crowd can help provide, I think humanize brands and take them to another level and to another platform.
And part of that, I think, is because the agency of record, this idea that, you know, we are the agency that handles Coke, or, and, you know, whatever, and Coke's a little bit different, it's such a huge behemoth, but you take smaller brands that you may all know, in the past they've had the agency of record that sort of covers everything. And that's disappearing. So that's why you end up with these situations where you have these integrated teams with 5 or 6 different companies coming in to fill a full campaign. And honestly, if we lived in the world of agency of record still, companies like ours wouldn't exist, because that would just be incorporated into that larger agency of record.
Right, so you're not, basically what you're saying is that you're not disrupting sort of the way that ads are made. You're kind of creating another tool or another sort of outlet, or would you call yourself disruptive?
I would say it's disruptive.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will tell you that we came into this model saying, gosh, if we can make ads for a quarter to a tenth of the cost of an ad agency, agencies are going to want to use this too.
But do you end up, the time spent, like you said, parsing through those things, or you guys have to kind of curate who it goes out to? Does that maybe equal it out in the end, and it's similar to the same price, because there is like an element of actually sorting through all this stuff?
And that's where the technology comes through. I mean, that's really where within our platform we do rely upon the technology, because we have a ton of metadata assigned to everybody. So the sort of analogy of left side, right side of the auditorium is, we know what everyone on the right side is good at. We know what everyone on the left side is good at, because it's come from the reviews. But yeah, you're building, I'm very clear in the fact that we are not a platform, and we're not a full agency, but we have those agency tendencies to be like, we know who our best players are.
And also, some brands have celebrities they use. So adding in a certain mix, the people that are going to be advertising the Super Bowl, the Olympics, they have multi-year deals, and they're, it's a totally different thing. So next time you're flipping through a magazine, watching TV, watching Hulu, however you digest, media today, look at ads and say, how are these being produced? Is high quality? Is it low?
Right.
Is it changing? Do they have one tagline they're always using with one person? Has that somehow gone away?
Right.
Any time that there's a life cycle change for a product, there's a great opportunity to come up with a new idea, and I think that a crowdsource version is a great idea. So we know, in the agency world, that a great way to hook somebody into a product is whenever they're going through a life change. When you graduate college, when you get married, when you have a baby, any of those things are when products and brands are going after you. That's just a big piece of it. And it's the same thing, frankly, for I think agencies when we're looking for opportunities for brands. A brand says we're launching a new product, and we think, oh, this is our chance to change the game, because that new product doesn't have this whole playbook of how they've always operated.
Right.
And those, I think, are the best ways. That's one really, I think, key area where we can go in and say, let's do it differently.
It's interesting. I've heard a lot of people say the real opportunity for crowdsource, especially crowdsourced video, is online, because they want to run all different kinds of ads targeted at all different kinds of people. You can target in ways that you can't do it on TV. But I feel like crowdsourcing will really get its credibility when the 30-second spot on TV is made by an amateur. Is that something that can happen, or will happen, or maybe it has happened?
So one of my personal frustrations with a lot of the Doritos ads and a lot of the crowdsourced ads in general that get made, that you see on TV, is they tend to be very sophomoric in humor. You don't tend to get the Darth Vader ad was funny, but it was also very touching, this little kid. Or the Super Bowl ad from last year with Detroit and for Oldsmobile, correct? I think. Yeah. It was Chrysler.
Yeah.
So, those are incredibly powerful ads, and there's no reason that can't be done by crowdsourcing. Personally, I think what you need is an overlay. I think you need the Genius Rocket or the Victors and Spoils model to have the brand saying, no, I'm not just going to come back in 30 days and find this amazing ad. It's going to be like, let's look at the ideas. So let's vet some of the ideas first, then let's vet the teams, then
filter out all the fart jokes.
Yeah, exactly. All of the people getting kicked in the head. And if you look at the Doritos ads year after year, it's not to say they're bad. They work. They're the most popular ads, but they tend to be, this is just a personal desire, I'd love to see some gripping, powerful content come out of crowdsourcing, and it just has, especially on the contest side, and it just hasn't happened yet.
It's low-hanging fruit.
It's low-hanging fruit.